Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Okay, I can't see you guys, but I'm just gonna go. All right, so I just want to start out by welcoming everybody to my group as I am the facilitator for a substance use discussion. I just want to let everyone know that this is a safe place to share, listen, and grow. And our focus today is going to be on doing an icebreaker. We're going to discuss some group norms and perspectives on substance use disorder, and then at the end, just kind of do a quick reflection. So let me do start out with a little emoji check-in. And actually, I think it might be important if maybe we just quickly want to introduce ourselves. Just say your name and maybe kind of where you are in your social work classes as far as like when you're going to be graduating. So if everyone doesn't mind, I'll go first. So I am Jen, and I have one more class after this, and then I plan to graduate in December. So I guess next is we'll do Carly, Brianna, and then Allie. So go ahead, Carly.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carly Doxator, and I will be graduating in May, and I am super excited.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And then Brianna.
Hi, I'm Brianna Rivera. I started in January and I will be finishing up hopefully in um like around May, June.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie Santa Maria. I will be finishing in December.
And Becky. Oh, you might be muted.
Hi, I'm
Oh,
Becky, and can you hear me now?
yep.
Sorry. And I will be graduating in December as well with Jen and Allie.
Okay, wonderful. And thank you all again. So to start out, like I said, the topic is on substance use disorder. And so I just want to get a feeling from everybody, like when you hear the word like substance use, um, what kind of emoji over here on the right do you think best aligns to how that makes you feel about talking about it? And we'll kind of just go in the same order. So you're just going to pick the emoji that best matches how you're entering into the conversation and feeling. And I just want everyone to know, like, this is a safe place. It's kind of like what's said here stays in here. If at any time anybody feels uncomfortable sharing something, by all means, you're more than welcome to skip. But so for me, talking about substance use, um, I think it makes me very curious. And the reason that I feel curious is because terms and slang is constantly changing. And you'll see inside slide 5, I added kind of what previous slang people used to be called addicts, um, or like they're struggling with their addiction. And so as time, those terms have changed. So that's kind of why I picked curious. Um, Carly, do you feel like sharing?
Yeah, so when I look at the emojis, I'm gonna say mine is heavy, mainly because I have a bunch of loved ones who struggle with substance abuse. I've also lost loved ones due to substance abuse, so I'm gonna say heavy.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Brianna?
I would say comfortable for kind of a similar reason. I just kind of grew up around it and I kind of feel like maybe I'm a little like desensitized to a lot of like the heaviness only because I feel like I went through that when I was younger. So now it's kind of like something that I'm pretty open about talking about. Same with like having friends and families that members, like really close family members that struggled with addiction, all different types of substance use. Um, so I would say I'm pretty comfortable with, talking about it.
Mhm. Thank you. And Allie?
I would say that I'm a mix of like comfortable and curious. Um, kind of going off of what other people said, growing up hearing about it a lot from, loved ones who have people who have, endured substance use and how it's impacted them. But I currently work with probation parole and I'm in the jails. So the part that's kind of curious is kind of going off of what Jen said, where the slang is kind of ever changing and you're sometimes having to figure out what terminology they're using and what that's referring to. So just curiosity as it kind of is always changing and evolving.
Thank you. And Becky?
Yeah, I would also say curious as well. I think I don't really have any exposure to it and I don't really have a lot of experience with it. So I do kind of find it fascinating just how it's kind of taken hold of our communities and our young people. And it just seems to be getting worse. So I find myself very curious about it.
Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing. Okay, and so this next slide is just on the norms and the ground rules for our group and when we're meeting. So I had put on here just creating a space for honest, respectful, and balanced conversations for everyone to speak with respect and being non-judgmental. One person speaks at a time, and it's important to use I statements and share from your own experience, just like you all just did an amazing job. So thank you. We only share what we feel comfortable, no graphic details, and what's shared here stays here, which I said earlier, and with safety exceptions. And obviously, that is if somebody shares something, if they're going to hurt themselves or others, then we are all mandated reporters to um, take care of that as needed. Is there anything on here that anybody feels would be important to add?
I would
Or
say
do you?
feel
Oh, go ahead.
It's okay. I would say I feel like that really covers kind of like the ground basis rules for group.
Okay. Does anybody else want to share anything to add? If not, we can move on to slide number 4. And at any time, we're able to edit this. We'll review it at every meeting. If we have new people joining us, we'll review the expectations and rules each time. Moving on to slide 4. This is a slide on ethics, just talking about confidentiality builds trust, participation is voluntary, and the importance of using person-centered, non-stigmatizing language, and practicing cultural humility, respecting how everybody identifies and their own personal beliefs is very important. Um, and like I said too, if there was a topic or anybody feels uncomfortable, it's okay to pass. Um, I respect all of that from everybody. Any questions? Okay, great. And then for today's discussion in regards to substance use, you'll see the slide on the right. I had added language matters, and it just says say this and not that. So there is, let me see if I can present this larger to you guys so you can see it. So these were words on the right that people probably, have used in the past or have heard, and then as time moves on and things change, it's good to adapt to that. So we have the words on the left. So over here on the left side of the screen, um, I think it would be, if everyone is okay, I'm going to have each person pick one of the questions and just kind of to give your answer, just to kind of open a discussion. So we have, when you hear substance use, what comes to mind? What do people misunderstand most about substance use? And then the last one, what helps create a supportive environment for people navigating substance use challenges? So for me, when I hear substance use, it's not only alcohol. I deal in my employment with participants that are using methamphetamines, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl. So for me, it's just a multifacet of multiple different substances that people struggle with. Well, Carly, are you comfortable sharing?
Yeah. So the question, what do people misunderstand the most about some substance use? I would say that I feel like sometimes people forget, like they just see them as, that word addict. They don't see them as somebody's brother, child, father. They kind of like lose that title whenever they see somebody who they call an addict. So I will say for when I was younger, like I think I was a little naive and just kind of didn't realize, when you're young, sometimes you don't always know what's going on when it comes to substances, right? Until you get older and realize. So like with alcohol, I felt like that was like a norm in my home. And so that didn't seem to me like substance use. It just kind of seemed like, oh yeah, it's normal. Like until I found out that there were people whose like parents don't drink. And I'm like, what do you mean your parents don't drink alcohol? You know? So it's just, that was kind of a game changer for me. And then as I got older, my stepson is the person who we lost to substance use. And so I really didn't understand the full grasp of it, of having a loved one like that go through the struggles until I was in the depths of it. Like you really cannot understand until you're really there. So you can sympathize, but you just don't realize what it's like until you actually go through it. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. And I'm so sorry to hear about what you have experienced. And I definitely agree, working with individuals who are struggling with substance use. And I feel that they all feel kind of judged. And you definitely hit the nail on the head by saying, like, they're looked at as an addict and not as an individual or
Mhm.
a son, a daughter, a mother, a brother, a friend.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah. Bree?
I think kind of to piggyback on that, I think when I hear substance use, I think indiscriminate, because everyone thinks that a person that has with substance use disorder looks a certain way, and they can be anyone. Of they're not the stereotypical what a lot of people think um a person with substance use disorder looks like, and they don't, there is no such thing. And I feel like that's just the first word that comes to mind when I think of that, because you really don't have, it doesn't have an image. It doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a gender, and that's why it doesn't discriminate. Um, so I think that's kind of the first word that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Allie?
I am gonna pick what do people misunderstand most about substance use, and I would just say the complexity of it. Kind of going off of what everyone's saying, like substance use does not discriminate. It can happen to quite literally anybody at any given point. But most people are so quick to be like, well, it started with a choice. They chose to do that, but it is so much more complex than that, and truly rewires the way that people's brains are and the way they think, they feel, they view life. So I would just say my mind goes to just truly being misunderstood with how complex it really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Becky?
Yeah, I'll take the last question. What helps create supportive environments for people navigating substance abuse challenges? I think really creating a safe, non-judgmental kind of arena for people to be able to share. And I think there's so much stigma they're already feeling that when people want to come um, to share, whether it's somebody who's struggling with substance abuse themselves, or if it's family members, that don't want to be judged by other family members, they have a safe space to go. So I think if you can create an environment where people feel non-judged and accepted for who they are and where they are at, then I think that that is something that is, can be a supportive experience for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, and then just to be considerate of everybody's time, a couple wrap-up questions is we'll just kind of go in the same order and just, again, there's 3 questions here, pick what you choose, but by doing this group activity, one takeaway or a norm that felt important or an emoji that you would choose now after having this discussion. And for me, just listening to all the valuable information and personal stories that you guys shared, I think looking like stepping out and looking in is, was it Becky or like addiction doesn't have a face or a color or a name. And just in the field that I am in and in the community that I'm in, I'm very surprised to hear or see individuals whom are struggling that nobody would even know that, oh my God, that individual is like actively using heroin, because it doesn't have color or a name or any of that information. So it's just really surprising that you know people struggle in different ways, and it's just good to use that empathy and gratitude towards others. Oh, actually, that's funny. It's right there on the notebook on the slide. Uh, um, yeah, Carly.
I guess I would say which norm felt most important, and I guess that's just that I guess just from hearing from everybody and knowing my experiences, I guess this just kind of feels like a norm, like it somehow substance use has touched everybody in some way, shape, or form. It could just be, that of one person or of many, or you've gone through it yourself. Unfortunately, I think we live in a world where not only is it's a norm to drink, and it's against the norm to not drink. And I think it's within the norm that you get medication and pain medication from your doctor, and that can spiral out of control very easily. And it has for people. So yeah, I guess that's just kind of the pattern that I've been seeing is that just across the board that this is a norm and this is what we're dealing with day in and day out, and this is what a lot of our clients and people that we will meet will be facing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Bree?
I think I would choose the emoji curious just based off of kind of the language that some people use for drug abuse that or drug use or substance use, which I wasn't aware of. I know that it kind of I've heard some of the like the lingo or the some of the slang terms before, but not as I'm not very familiar with it. So I think that kind of is the reason why I would choose like curious. So I can kind of understand you know, what language people are using so that, if they are using something that's offensive to kind of bring it up because if I didn't know, if I'm not aware, then, it's something that I'd probably tilt my head about, but not something that I'd probably actively try to correct. So,
Great. Thank you so much. Allie?
I would say that like my main takeaway today is just really like um kind of going off of what we've said, like the language and just so many aspects that most people don't really consider when we are talking about substance use and, how hard the stigma has really made it for people to take the step to receive services at all because they're already feeling so poorly just based off of the language that people use when talking about it. Um, and just how important it is to continue to educate people on that language and just the impact that it can have for people who are going through something and feeling so vulnerable and low during that time.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Becky?
Yeah, I think the one takeaway I have from today is just even in this small time we've been together and there's only a small group of us, how many people have been affected by substance abuse. I mean, it's, over half of the people involved in the group. So I think it just kind of aligns with that, how prevalent it has come, in our society and how it's kind of infiltrated so many communities across, all types of parts of the country, really. So I think that was that kind of struck me just from our time today, how um, much people have been affected by substance abuse in just our small group. So it just kind of shows that it seems to be a growing problem, and one that we're just always going to be battling.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for sharing that. And so our time is coming to an end. So I just want to wrap things up. Again, thank you all for your participation, and I look forward to our next group meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks